So you may have, like me, come across these Albatross Wings. You can get them Mark 4, 5 and 6. And you may be wondering, what's the difference between them and the basic versions? When you look at the stats, it just appears that the Albatross ones are worse. When you look at the turn rating, it's now 7 instead of 9. Agility goes from 8 to 7 as well. But in the description, it says they're designed for speed, but they limit maneuverability. And all we can really see here is that, yeah, you're losing maneuverability, but not getting any speed, because they still say glide speed 170. So I've gone and tested both versus each other and even compared it versus the MK6 wings you can use. Again, the basic versions. Because what the heck's going on here? Are they just broken? Is it a tooltip issue? So for all the tests, we just done this. A full ascent, so just holding spacebar, going up, and we look at our maximum ascent speed. It stabilizes out at 81 kilometers per hour with these wings. Then we also looked at our forward speed. So you can barely see it, but my horizontal line there, we put the dot right at the base of the triangle in line with the horizontal line, and then we just click W. And we wait till that maxes out, and that's 95 kilometers per hour. Then we done forward and up. So again, getting that horizontal line, but now we hold W and space at the same time. This will usually be the way you ascend, and this is 88 kilometers per hour. Then perhaps you're running the booster. So I looked at what's the max speed you're getting with the booster. So again, got the horizontal line there. Then we're going to press W and space and then boost. And this is generally how you will ascend with a thruster. We can see max speed is 150 kilometers per hour just before we overheat. Lastly is the vulture mode. Again, getting that dot in line with the horizontal line. I'll just do it over here. You probably can't see, just so we have some room. And then we're going to enter vulture mode. And we want to get up to our max speed. Our wings are rated at 180, so let's go above that and just let the Ornithopter stable out. And at this rate, we had 182 kilometers per hour with these wings. So we've done exactly that with the basic Ornithopter MK5 wings, the Albatross MK5 wings, and as I just showed you everything with the basic MK6 wings. And it's very interesting to note where the speed's actually coming from. And to be honest, it doesn't make much sense. The only difference the Albatross wings have is in the regular ascent speed, the regular forward and ascent speed, but no difference with the booster and no difference with the flat glide speed. So the only useful time to have these Albatross wings is when you're flying around in, say, the hover mode. And honestly, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I would have assumed they would have placed wings to have higher glide speed and then actually adjust the engine, have a unique engine that would give you more vertical and horizontal regular movement when you flap the wings in that like hover mode. Because if you generally look at engine upgrades, say MK5, it has 95 speed, and this translates exactly with the flat forward speed, 95. And so these Albatross wings are increasing that to 104. So even though these wings can't necessarily give you higher top speed, they're still pretty useful for like ascending up quicker when you actually want to get that height, particularly when you're using, say, the storage and not the thrusters. 9 kilometers per hour faster is not too shabby. And there are MK6 Albatross wings you can get too. Just be careful of that turning and agility reduction. You probably won't notice it all that much, but it's definitely prevalent. And if you're in, say, dogfighting PvP in the deep desert, you might notice it more. But if you're a solo player and your goal is to pretty much snatch some loot and flee, these probably are the way to go. Since you still maintain that top glide speed, all you lose is a little bit of agility, which doesn't really matter too much when you're generally just flying in a straight line anyway. The big advantage of these Albatross wings is simply to get back in the air quicker. Say you were farming some spice in the ground, some enemies jump you, you can hop in your Ornithopter and get height quickly. And that is, again, without using the booster. If you had the booster, those thrusters, there wouldn't be any point. These wings do not increase the maximum. It was still 150 regardless of which wing type I used. It's just going to be down to the level of the thruster, which I have at MK5. But looking at different ways they could have done this, if you did have, say, slightly better wings that had slightly better glide speed, that could bring quite the big advantage, especially for the scout in PvP, because of the fact you can run rockets on them. Now, if you want my opinion, I would say, yeah, maybe they should disable using rockets on the scout, or at least have some way or another that if you use rockets, you're going to significantly reduce your speed. Or maybe you could only use rockets if you're in the hover mode. Like, you can't shoot rockets when you're in the glide mode. That way you end up rockets to be more of a defense thing rather than a true offense, so that you can't necessarily hunt somebody down with rockets chasing them. And that gives the opportunity for the person who doesn't want to engage in the fight the opportunity to get away. But of course, if both of you actually want to fight, then you're going to stick it out and you're just going to fight each other, and that's totally fine. But I think PvP should have a bit more favor towards the person who wants to get away. That way, if you want offense, attack power, you should sacrifice mobility. Just like the Assault Ornithopter. If this was the only vehicle that could have rockets, maybe even having an option to have rockets on the carrier, then that would totally be fine, because these vehicles are naturally slower. You can make the argument the rockets on the Scout are less powerful than the Assault, but that, honestly, that difference is not enough. You're still going to wreck somebody nearly as quick. But again, that's just my take. I would honestly either remove rockets from the Scout or make it so that you're going to have to slow down to actually use those rockets, thus allowing somebody who wants to flee from a fight the opportunity to do so, therefore preserving that attack power for, say, the intended use, defending a spice field, defending a capture point, or sure, engaging and attacking one of them. But if people want to flee, they can do so. And that, honestly, I think would alleviate a lot of grievances with the whole PvP situation. These kind of survival games are usually played a lot more by, say, solo players, I would think. And so this game having that end game level of basically requiring a group for the deep desert creates a very unfun experience for a lot of, again, those solo players, forcing them to cooperate and play with other people. The game's not necessarily built at the foundation level to require playing with other people, so I don't think the endgame should force you to do so either. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still totally possible in the current state to elude enemies, sneak about, and get all the resources necessary to even craft your own carrier. Not that there's a lot of point to it, but it was definitely getting a lot more challenging these past few days versus earlier last week, because there are a lot more people coming to that level, entering that competitive space. And then it just ends up in peak points, pretty much no spice anywhere. And as soon as the spice bloom would come up, there would be 5 guys there already. So I would have to go 4 a.m. at night, 5 a.m. at night, just to get my spice, because otherwise it would be so contested. Not too fun for a solo player, particularly when you run the risk of running into an enemy who has a scout with rockets and can fly very well. They'll always just keep on your tail and will shoot you out of the sky eventually. But that's it for now. Hopefully this was somewhat insightful. A special thank you to my channel members for their added support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.